Hello everyone and welcome to Azam Sharp Weekly. In this video, I'm going to show you that how you can get started with Neumorphic Design. Now, Neumorphic Design, it's not that common that you will see in different apps, but the whole idea is that we used to have skeuomorphic design when iPhone actually came out, and everything in the iPhone was relatable to new objects or real objects in the real world that we find. So if you look at the bookshelf, it was made up of wood. So because we can refer it in the real world, we have wood also, and glass and so kind of things. Now in neumorphic design, it is closer to skeuomorphic, but in a way it's not that close because it's not relatable to the real world. It's more of a design that is created using a lot of shadows, a lot of inner shadows, and kind of like limiting the use of the color. So this is one of the great screenshots that shows you the neumorphic design. You can see a lot of use of inner shadows and padding and outer shadows and radius, and it looks very, very modern. Now, if you go and see this design maybe after 30 years, it's still going to look and feel kind of modern. Just like the flat design, I think the main aspect of the flat design is that it just feels modern because it just doesn't get old as the time goes by. And the same thing you may not have noticed is that when you buy a MacBook and your MacBook has just one flat color, right? And if you see that MacBook in like 10 years, it's still going to look modern because of those material and the color that they have used. So that's the whole point of creating neumorphic design or material or flat design, which we are currently using. But let's go ahead and see that how we can actually create neumorphic design in a SwiftUI application. Now for our application, I'll be using this article. It's a really good article by Adam Bell, which allows you or which tells you that how you can create a neumorphic button. So I'll be following this really good article, and we will not keep it like this. We will keep it like with a blue color or something because I think that looks much nicer. But it's a really good article and I'll link it in the YouTube description. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we have is obviously we're starting with nothing. We just have a text field that you can see on the right hand side. It's basically nothing. And we need some sort of a button. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a button. And I can go ahead and write anything for the button if I want to. So I can say button. And you can see that it's going to create a button. All right. Now the neumorphic design works with shadows, and if we're creating shadows and adding white shadow to the button, it's not going to be visible because the background itself already is white. So what we want to do is we want to put our button into some sort of a container that actually is not white. So I'm just going to put it inside a Z stack, and maybe we can go ahead and change the color of the Z stack to provide it with some different color, which is definitely not white. So it will be very close to white, but it's going to be more of like a grayish color. You can see that. All right. Okay, so we have the button. Let's go ahead and build that. But the button doesn't really show any shadows. Nothing is going on. That is fine. What we want to do is, first of all, we need to add some sort of an image to our button, and currently the button does not really have any image, and we can't really use this kind of button because the reason is that if we want to display an image, we have to use a different overload function for creating a button. So we have to pass in the action. This is actual button click, and in the body this is the actual view of the button, meaning that this is going to be the one that is that should display the button, the appearance of the button. So for the appearance of the button, I'm just going to use the image, and I can provide a system name, which means that I can simply go ahead and provide some sort of an icon. So I can say hard.fill, and that will create an icon on the right hand side. You can see that. The icon is very small, so we can just go ahead and call resizable to make it a little bit bigger and set a constant frame with some sort of a width, let's say 80, and some sort of a height, let's say 80 also. Okay, so we have a button which has an icon, which is an image called heart fill. That's fine. The next thing that we need to do is we need to start adding shadows to our button, because it is because of the shadows, inner shadows, outer shadows, that will make it neumorphic. So if you go to the button, we can go ahead and start adding shadow. The first thing is that we need to provide some sort of a color. So I'm just going to say white color, and the radius of the shadow, so just 8. I mean, these are some values that you have to just go ahead and play around with, but I'm just going to provide -8 and -8. So X shadow is over here -8, and the Y shadow is also -8. All right. The other thing I want to do is I want to ignore the edges. So I can go ahead and call ignore edges. There we go. Although that doesn't really have anything to do with what we're doing. The other shadow that I want to include will be for a particular color. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a color. So what we want is a little bit more darker color to be added on to the bottom right. So this is the color. And for the radius, I'm just going to use 8, and X, I'm just going to use 9 and 9. And as soon as we do that, you can actually see that the button now contains some sort of a shadow. All right. The other thing that we want to do is we want to add a little bit of a padding, give it a little bit of a breathing room to the actual button, to the actual content. So here we go. It's a little bit more breathing room, and we can even change the background of the button. So let's go ahead and change the background of the button to something else so that we can at least be able to see the size of the button. Right now, we can't even see the size of the button. There we go. Looks pretty nice, right? I mean, we have two shadows over here. You can see on the top right here, there's a white shadow, which is coming from there. So that's the white shadow right here. And on the bottom part, the bottom shadow is coming from this color. Obviously, you can use any color that you want, but I think it looks pretty good already. And if you want your button to be rounded, you can actually set to be the corner radius of the button to be something, and now the button is also rounded. All right. Now the next part would be, it looks really good, but it would even look better if your actual image have some sort of a shadow going on. So we can use the same exact shadows for our image also, so that it will look like that the image is also floating. So if I say white over here, I can pass in 8, and you can again play around with these different values. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. All right, and then you have to add the bottom shadow also to make it work. So I'm just going to copy the actual shadow part of it. And there we go. So you can see that now the actual image, there we go, it does also have a shadow. If I go ahead and zoom it in a little bit more, you can see that it has a little bit of a shadow going on over here on the top left, and on the bottom right, you can see the shadow going on. Now it looks really, really nice. Now you can obviously change the color of the button or whatever, the image or whatever you want to do. That's perfectly fine. But I think it, from my point of view, it looks really, really nice. All right. And I wouldn't be really surprised that if we see these kind of things in augmented reality, like more modern kind of things just popping up in augmented reality when we have to click a button, maybe using our glasses, then we'll be able to see these kind of neumorphic design so that they're always like floating, giving it more of a depth. So this is it. This is how you create a neumorphic design, in this particular case, a neumorphic button using SwiftUI. If you like this video and want to support my channel, then first of all, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and go ahead and press the like button also. That really helps to grow the channel. And if you want to check out my course, I have a course on Udemy. It's called SwiftUI Declarative Interfaces for Any Apple Device, and it is a 15+ hour course, and I keep on updating the course. And it has a lot of different sections about working with SwiftUI, even integrating with core data. I have integrating with MapKit, Apple Maps app, SwiftUI Animation, SwiftUI for all devices, where you will learn how to make apps for watchOS and macOS and iOS, and a lot of different stuff that it is covered. So basically everything you need to know about SwiftUI, this course covers everything. And you can actually see This course has a great rating. It's the best-selling course on SwiftUI, and it has more than 3,500 students registered. Now, the best way to get this course is to check out the YouTube description, and you will find also that there are many other courses that I have created, and you may be interested in other courses also. So thank you very much for your continuous support, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you, and I really hope that you have enjoyed this video.